Welcome to spring. It's about 50 degrees outside. Certainly doesn't feel like spring. But last week was a very nice weather week. It was probably the first time a lot of us got outside, mowed the front lawn and the back lawn, and sort of took stock of what we have, how things look, how does our patio look, what can we do to try to make it a better place to entertain, or what can we do to increase our home's value. Now, to help us here to talk about that, I'm happy to have Brian Stellingworth. He is the territory manager for Cambridge Paving Systems and Pavers and Wall Systems. Glad to have you with us here today.
Thanks for having us.
I know this is a great time of year to start talking about things to do with your home, because I was sitting outside. I don't exactly have a walkway to my front door, and Carrie, my fiance, and I were thinking maybe that's something we should put in, and not thinking about necessarily home value, but I guess that's a pretty cost-effective way to try to increase the value of your home.
Very big trend right now. If you look at since the soft housing market, most studies will say that putting money into your bathroom or the kitchen, in most part is not probably the best investment. You look at an outdoor living area, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, even just a patio walkway, as you mentioned, is a better use of your investment.
Yeah, and it doesn't add to the tax base.
It does not. No, just value to your home and not to your tax base.
Okay, I know nothing about pavers. I mean, literally nothing. So we've got some right here. They look great. I'm not even sure what exactly I'm looking at with Cambridge here.
Cambridge with Armortech, you're looking in front of us here, some of the larger format pavers. The industry is certainly changing in the last 15 to 20 years, from a smaller size 4x8 clay paver, up to now you see some of the larger style format pavers, larger, texture, natural clefts to them, and then smoother, textures as well, including 3-color blends, very natural stone looking products.
Okay, Eric, bring it in. I want you to see, because that was the first thing that struck me, is that it is intentionally uneven. You can see the ridges right here, and then the different colors. Yeah, we got a little 2 different kinds of gray, and then some
little
brown,
looks
like sandstone in there. Yeah, so these are very popular now. What about affordability? Is it now that we're going with bigger pavers, does it wind up being a little more or less affordable? How does it work?
Great question. If you look at, let's say, an indoor room, your average cost is probably around $140 a square foot, and we're talking, a living room, family room addition. Your average patio costs on a high end might be $20 a square foot. Your material cost is much less than that,
Okay.
So if you look at the larger style pavers, it's a nominal difference from the smaller 6x9s that we're used to.
All right, and boy, these things are thick. I imagine they last, but there's probably been some innovations to make them last a little longer.
Lifetime warranty. You look at Cambridge or Armortech, I think one of the things you talk about is just what you mentioned, looking at the surface. You're picking with your fiance, you're looking at color, texture, shape, size. When you're doing that, you want to make sure that color, that shape and size lasts for your lifetime. Again, your investment in your property. So, if you look at Cambridge with Armortech, as the surface wears, the color that you see, the texture you see is going to remain for years and years to come.
Okay, and interestingly, we're standing on a stone patio. So, Eric, bring the camera down here so you can sort of illustrate what you're looking at.
Great example. You look at the patio here and you look at some of the surfaces on these stones, and as they wear, you start to see more and more of the large aggregate stone.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the little flecks.
You got it.
Yeah.
You look at a Cambridge paver with Armortech, as this surface wears, we don't use large aggregate stone in our surface. We have granite, sand, pigment, and cement. So as it wears, the color remains true and lasts, for years and years to come.
Okay. There's a lot more you can do, though, than we're just talking about pavers. People are looking at water features, they're looking at fire. What else are people trying to do to sort of increase even the livability, to try to get more people over to the backyard for like a barbecue?
Exactly. That outdoor living trend is certainly continuing to pick up steam. It may start with the patio. All of us are working on fixed budgets to most degree.
Understood.
And if you look at the elements that you can add on, as we talked about, your pavers lasting for years and years to come, and doing additions to them, project phasing. So maybe the first year is the patio. Maybe the next year is a fire pit. Or maybe now we're seeing the trends, really change to fire and water. We have pre-assembled kits that combine fire and water together. Or maybe an outdoor fireplace, pizza oven, pergola.
Pizza oven.
Outdoor kitchen.
Pizza oven. Hadn't thought about that. The fire pit makes a lot of sense to me, because that's a natural congregating area, so I imagine those are pretty popular. But I've had to try to redesign an interior space before. I think it's a little easier because the walls help you to define what you're looking at. I imagine it can be a little harder when you got a big outdoor space. So what do you guys do to make that easier?
Great question. A lot of times you'll see elevation changes in a back patio. Very simple way to separate maybe the seating area from where the outdoor kitchen might be. You know, the pergolas can designate an area where you're looking for some shade, some cover from the sun and elements. In some cases, it might be as simple as changing a border or an accent. You know, a lot of new products in 2016 that can enable you to have, you know, different accents and changes of patterns that can kind of, again, steer people to different directions from fire pit to patio.
You've got a lot of different options, Cambridge, pavers, and wall systems. A great way to go. Brian, thank you so much for being with us here today. All right, glad to have you here, and I've learned something about pavers now, so I'm just put that in the bank. We have to step aside for just a couple of minutes, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about our upcoming Day Trips and Destinations Expo, specifically